Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. This is really just going to be a short and sweet video on Polkadot. Now, for those of you that are interested in cryptocurrencies, I know I have a large Cardano following. I really and truly believe that you should be paying attention to Polkadot. This is a blockchain that I want to put on everybody's radar. I'm not telling you to buy it. You guys know that we think ultimately prices come lower for the entire cryptocurrency market over the coming months. But what I really want people to do is get familiar with Polkadot. And this video is going to be sort of an introduction into DOT, a little bit about it, and why it fills me with so much excitement. One thing that I love about Polkadot is they've done things differently from your traditional layer one smart contract blockchains like Ethereum. And we'll get into that because they have these things called parachains. I took part in pretty much all of the parachain auctions, which is essentially like them having that smart contract moment. But they do things in a really different, innovative way. And they are an extremely innovative blockchain. And Gavin Wood, this man here, the founder of Polkadot, played a absolutely influential and instrumental role in Ethereum in the early days. He was one of the initial 5, along with Vitalik Buterin, who actually came up with Ethereum, and he actually built a large part of it being the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine, and wrote a lot of the code for Ethereum initially. So he has a long-standing history in the crypto space. He's played a fundamental role in it. He is a cryptographer. He's somebody that I've listened to many interviews that he's done, and he always tells stories about how other kids were out playing and he was sat behind his computer and he was coding things at a very early age with one of his friends. Gavin Wood is an absolute visionary in the space, a real pioneer for the cryptocurrency industry. And of course, he left Ethereum and went on to found Polkadot. And Polkadot is what we're going to be getting into in this video. I'm going to be sharing, we'll look at the price, but really, for me, it's not time to buy crypto yet. We are majority cash position, looking to reallocate into the cryptocurrency market when we think things have got bad enough. But ultimately, in the meantime, in that kind of waiting period, you should really be educating yourselves in regards to projects that you want to accumulate into the next bull run. And Polkadot is absolutely going to be there. And in my opinion, is going to shine. This was once at the peak, $56 project that is now 88% down at around about $6. And I see huge potential in this moving forwards, as I think it's going to be a blockchain that has long-lasting capabilities. And it's still so new, only really launched or was certainly thought of significantly before 2020, but really hit the markets in 2020, saw huge appreciation, and it's been lackluster really since then. And of course, today is 88% down from its all-time highs, but it's going to do very well into the next bull run. And this is why I want to really alert people to it, because it's a fascinating project with credentials all over the place. Not only does it have investors in terms of industry leaders, but it's also actually maintained and developed by some of the industry leaders and really sets a lot of the industry standards, I think, on many occasions. So what essentially is Polkadot? Well, Polkadot is essentially like an Ethereum, a Cardano, a Solana, a AVAX, a Tezos competitor. It is a layer one smart contract blockchain, but it's not necessarily layer one or smart contract in the sense that they do things differently. So you can be a built blockchain on Polkadot and use Polkadot, but be your own layer one. So it's very, very interesting. It's taken this idea of building on top of a blockchain and done something different with it. So we'll read a little bit of the literature. I'll explain things as I go on, and then we'll get into their sort of model and how they facilitate layer one smart contract capabilities through, of course, their parachains. Parachains, I think the first parachain was only launched this year. It may have been Akala that won the first slot. I can't quite remember. I know I took part in Akala, Parallel, a huge list of them that I talk a lot more about in my Patreon group, because I really do think that this is not only an exciting blockchain, but an exciting ecosystem to come out of the blockchain. That if, this seems to be the right model and the right way of doing things, is going to do very well. And Gavin really left Ethereum because he believed in a multi-chain future, whereas Vitalik didn't quite believe in that. Gavin saw the future as being interoperable, and Vitalik obviously thought it being sort of one chain to rule them all. And that's one of the main reasons he left and, of course, built Polkadot. For the Cosmos fans out there, you know, you'll like this model because it's very similar. But Polkadot were obviously or have been running sort of concurrent with this idea. But they do have similar kind of strategies, whereas Polkadot has parachains. You know, you have the SDK for Cosmos. Very, very interesting. So the multi-chain vision for Web3 starts here, referring to Polkadot. Polkadot unites and secures a growing ecosystem of specialized blockchains called parachains. Apps and services on Polkadot can securely communicate across chains, forming the basis for a true interoperable decentralized web. So it's truly interoperable. It's economically and transactionally scalable, an easy blockchain innovation. So you don't necessarily need to hard fork necessarily. And you can, being a parachain, which is kind of the equivalent to being like Aave on Ethereum, but you're your own chain. So you're your own blockchain. The only thing that you take from Polkadot is the security, the scalability, and the throughput, meaning that you can just be specific to the use case that you're trying to solve. So if it was an Aave's case and they were plugged into Polkadot, they don't need to worry about anything other than being good at DeFi. This is why I love it so much. And you actually have parachains, which are their own layer one smart contracts. Kind of think of them as the dApps to come out of these other layer ones that are their own blockchains that can specifically focus on one thing. And with the likes of Moonbeam, for example, that is being its own layer one smart contracts platform and allowing people to build on top of it, harnessing the power of Polkadot. You know, it's a brilliant model. One thing that gets me excited is when I see something that's done something differently. They're highly energy efficient, secure for everyone, and very user driven. We actually had in the Polkadot Decoded, I was actually just watching this as a recap. This happened recently. An upgraded model for the governance mechanism, which I think is brilliant. You know, they really think about governance and the future of crypto, because governance is just this word that kind of gets thrown around. How many of you guys actually partake in the blockchains that you hold the tokens of? Governance. Not a lot of you. But in the future, governance is going to become more and more of an important thing. And this is where, you know, they've essentially looked to upgrade their governance proposal to Gov2, which will be launching on Kusama, which is Polkadot's canary network, kind of like testnet, but not immediately. So it's very, very exciting. So let's get into a little bit about how it works. So it's a scalable, interoperable, and secure network protocol for the next web. So Web3, they're also, I think, founded or certainly funded and developed by the Web3 Foundation. This is essentially how Polkadot works. So what I'll do is I'll zoom into this. This inner ring is Polkadot. So you can see this middle bit where you've got these kind of connective lines. This is Polkadot, and on the outside here is essentially what would be equivalent to Ethereum dApps, but they're their own layer one smart contract protocols in many cases, and they have that functionality inherently. And they're all connected through Polkadot on the relay chain, which is basically the heart of Polkadot, which allows them to be very specific. You know, Polkadot deals with the scalability, the throughput and the security, the validation, essentially. And, you know, these chains can kind of forget about that and not have to worry about it not being scalable like we see in Ethereum or cost efficient, and really focus on their own endeavors, which I think is absolutely genius. And certainly, you know, something that I'm very, very excited about. So forgive me for moving the screen all over the place, guys. This is kind of how it works and all the components that are attached to it. Connecting the dots, pardon the pun there, the relay chain, the heart of Polkadot, responsible for the network shared security consensus and cross-chain interoperability. So a parachain, this is the kind of revolutionary concept here, kind of similar to what Cosmos are doing. These are sovereign blockchains that can have their own tokens and optimize their functionality for specific use cases. So if you were building on top of Ethereum, the difference being is you're very tethered to Ethereum as being a dApp in the likes of Aave. You know, you rely on their, again, scalability, you rely on their security, you rely on a number of things, whereas Polkadot is specific to that and allows you to then go on and build what you want. Polkadot as a blockchain actually inherently doesn't have smart contract functionality. It's like a layer 0, and these are layer 1 blockchains that are built on top of it. In a similar way to how you have Polygon, which is a layer 2 built on Ethereum's layer 1. It's kind of, you know, sped that whole process up, if you will. Parathreads, I don't think we actually have any parathreads yet, I believe. are similar to parachains, but with a pay-as-you-go model. More economical for blockchains that don't need continuous connectivity to the network. And then, of course, you have bridges. So not only can all these individual sovereign layer 1 blockchains that are built on top of Polkadot connect with one another through the relay chain, essentially the cross-chain messaging service, but they can also bridge tokens. We see bridges are very popular. And then those tokens can actually interoperate with the entire ecosystem. So it's a very, very fascinating, blockchain essentially. And then you've got the consensus roles, you've got the nominators, you've got the validators, and you've got the collators. So it's super, super interesting and new. Again, I bring up Cosmos because many of you Cosmos fans will like the idea of this because it's kind of similar on a couple of fronts. Let's get into a little bit about parachains. So this is blockchain unbounded. Parachains are advanced next-generation layer 1 blockchains that transact the limitations of legacy networks. Specialized and interconnected parachains make up a diverse ecosystem of independent platforms, communities, and ecosystems, improving the way we connect online. Parachains equals possibilities. I absolutely agree with this. While other blockchain protocols only allow developers to build dApps using smart contracts, Polkadot gives them full control over their underlying blockchain itself. This flexibility gives Parachain developers the maximum freedom to optimize for any use case, which means better and more secure dApps and services overall. These are some of the benefits that Polkadot has in opposition with the legacy system, so really calling out Ethereum here. So the legacy system is a one-size-fits-all or fits none approach, a single limiting design for the entire network, no ability to optimize for specific use cases, so compromised and trade-offs must be made. Absolutely. And we've seen that with Ethereum, whereas with parachains, you don't have that. If you want to build a specific use case, you've got your own sovereignty and your own blockchain, essentially. You're your own layer 1. You can optimize for whatever you want. The only thing that you're taking necessarily from Polkadot is the throughput, scalability, and security. So you can really focus on the task it is at hand. I think this is a brilliant. I don't think it's going to be long before we have a big institutional company actually look to further their ventures on Polkadot or launch their own blockchain on Polkadot. So the parachains are specialized. Parachains are specialized for a multiple of use cases, enabling more optimization services and thriving multifaceted economies. Legacy blockchain system is isolated. Most blockchains are like walled gardens, cut off from each other and unable to communicate, prohibiting the free flow of data and commerce. Parachains are interconnected, obviously through the relay chain. Being built on top of Polkadot, they have that as an inherent feature. Parachains are a rich, interconnected ecosystem where data flows freely between chains, leading to innovation, new interoperable services. The legacy blockchain system is limited scalability. Transactions are processed on a one-by-one basis, leading to bottleneck network congestion and high fees with dApp usage spikes. Parachains are extremely scalable. Parachains process transactions in parallel, spreading them across the entire multi-chain network for maximum scalability. So if NFTs, for example, we haven't seen much of an NFT space. I think I've got pretty much the majority of NFTs that are already on Polkadot. That's how new their NFT space really is. But this is, NFTs, of course, huge congestion. Well, you don't want to be sharing your network for DeFi with NFTs. Because if loads of people are putting NFTs, well, your DeFi is going to be slow. Parachains solve this problem. It's a very, very interesting and innovative blockchain, as I'm saying. The legacy system blockchain are difficult to upgrade. Like all software, blockchains need periodic upgrades to stay relevant. Upgrading most blockchains is painstaking, making them slow to evolve and respond to a new technology that becomes available. With parachains, it's seamless on-chain upgrades. Polkadot makes upgrades on a blockchain more like upgrading on a conventional app, with the ability to make most updates seamless and automatically in the background. So with the legacy blockchains, of course, you've got no financial agency. Legacy blockchains are dependent on centralized organizations to finance activities that benefit the network and communities as a whole, with no financial agency. On-chain treasuries, parachains can leverage on-chain treasuries, giving decentralized communities the financial agency once limited to corporation government. So one reason I say Gavin is such a visionary in the space is he is really coming up with ways that blockchain almost becomes like a living organism. It becomes like a council of the future, if you will. Whereas right now, blockchain is still, certainly in regards to funding, very tethered to, it's kind of like Cardano's C fund almost. Which is super, super exciting. The legacy blockchain system, no clear decision-making. Most blockchains have no formal governance procedures. Individual stakeholders are often powerless to propose changes, which decisions made by opaque groups of insiders. Built-in customizable governments, parachains can leverage Polkadot's built-in transparency government features or create their own to implement the system that's best for their community. Difficult and costly to secure. Securing blockchains requires a massive amount of resources, creating a significant barrier to entry for new chains and leading to competition for scarce resources between chains. With parachains, you actually have built-in security. Parachains get robust security automatically when they connect to the Polkadot. No need to bootstrap their own network for miners and validators, this is why this is so revolutionary, because they allow people to build and not have to worry about the kind of fundamental features of a blockchain, because Polkadot's taking care of that for them. And how you win a parachain is essentially, not anybody can just have a parachain. You need to have won the auctions that take place, the candle auctions that take place, which is something we can really dive into the future. But this is just kind of an introduction to Polkadot, I guess. Difficulty and costly in the legacy system to build and maintain. Building an conventional blockchain typically takes years of hard work, and large amounts of expert maintenance is costly and time-consuming. With parachains, it's streamlined development with Substrate. So Substrate is kind of like their mechanism that they use that allows people to build, kind of like Plutus or kind of like the EVM or Parachains. We can get into the more technical stuff later on down the line. If anybody wants any more Polkadot videos, let me know in the comments, guys. I love to share things that I'm excited about, and hopefully after this video, you guys are excited as I am about Polkadot. Parachains can use Substrate blockchain framework to drastically simplify and speed up development and maintenance. With the legacy system, you have high unpredictable transaction fees. So Ethereum, this has been a huge case. Fees on blockchains are often unpredictable, fluctuating based on short-term network usage and congestion. Again, going back to that NFT idea, if somebody's minting huge amounts of NFTs, well, your DeFi transactions just got a lot more expensive in the likes of Ethereum and actually others. Parachains are low transparent fees. Transaction fees are known in advance, and fee structures can be customized by Parachains teams. Users can pay fees in the Parachains native token. So it really does allow these blockchains to be native. You don't have to pay an ETH if you want to use the Parachains. You can pay in your own whatever the layer one is that you're using that is built on top of Polkadot. Last one now, guys. Limited transaction types. Blockchains are smart contracts. And smart contracts are typically limited to a few basic transaction types, like sending funds or triggering a contract. Transactions between chains are limited and often mediated by centralized services. With parachains, any type of data, Polkadot allows any type of data to be sent across dApps and parachains. You can have dApps on top of these parachains, by the way, guys. You can really see, and this is all facilitated by Polkadot and DOT, the underlying governance token. You can see where the demand comes from, certainly if this takes off in a big way. Creating an interoperable internet of blockchains and opening the door to host of innovative new services. So it's super, super cool, guys. A parachain for every purpose. You've got independent tokens and economies, common good parachains, bridge parachains. You've got parachain hubs. You've got smart contract parachains, and you've also got para threads. Blockchain that I am super, super excited about moving forward. This was just a real introductory. You can see just the inherent differences that it has with the likes of Ethereum. Significantly down. Ultimately, for me, this is not a buy yet. When I look at the next 5 years, do I think, it's going to be worth more than $6? Absolutely, I do. But for me, and this is stuff that I talk, at great length on for my Patreon members, we're not getting into markets just yet. But we will do, and ultimately Polkadot is a blockchain that I believe you should have on your radar. For all this stress, we've seen many other blockchains capitulate. Polkadot hasn't seen that. and I think is going to thrive and survive moving forwards. So that's really all I've got for you in this video, guys. Let me know if you want more Polkadot content. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next YouTube video, guys. Thank you.